Chapter 1499. Over the past year, although Mu Yang missed Xiao Bao, although she was also in pain, she at least knew that her baby was safe and sound. But at this moment, the pain from Xiao Bao's body made her unable to calm down. However, Xiao Qiu did not answer her, but let out a low moan. Usually, the fiery red little phoenix was overflowing with colorful lights, but right now, the luster on its body was completely dim. The body that was originally a corpse is slowly fading, as if it would be blown away by the wind at any time. Hearing Mu Yang's call, the little phoenix raised its head, its round red eyes flowing with crystal clear liquid. Beautiful sister, save little brother, you must save little brother. Before it could finish, the little phoenix has fainted. Mu Yang suddenly stood up. The Tianmo Qin suddenly turned into the crystal clear Chijue sword. Qi Huang hurriedly said, Jun Mu Yang, calm down, calm down? Why should she calm down? Her Xiao Bao is in danger now, how can she calm down? That pair of scarlet red eyes faintly surged with a frenzied killing intent. Yun Ruohan and the others who were waiting outside were worried when they saw Mu Yang suddenly open the door. But before they could say anything, Mu Yang has already soared into the sky. But this time, she did not use the flying boat, but directly stood on the Chijue sword, flying like lightning towards the Danyang mountain range. Damn, since when can little junior sister fly on a sword? Isn't she only at the stage of fasting? What's wrong with little junior sister? I think her expression is very strange. Let's go, let's catch up and see. An hour ago, Fushi Secret Realm. After a few days of walking, a sea of red flowers suddenly appeared in front of them. The fat rabbit immediately rushed over and began to eat the snow-red lotus. It ate until its belly was round, then turned over and lazily lay on the ground to rest. Bai Xie exclaimed, wow! You guys really found the red lotus of Snow Domain. Xiao Bao's handsome little face was expressionless. With a cold childish voice, he asked, how do we destroy it? Bai Xie was silent, the sword gently swayed. Suddenly, he said fiercely, motherfucker, ever since I came to this damn world, I have been trapped in this damn place 99% of the time. I really have had enough. If a brat like you isn't afraid, why should I be afraid? It's just a secret zone. If it's destroyed, so be it. I don't believe I can't defeat it. As soon as he finished speaking, the sword flew out of Xiaobao's hand and fiercely crashed towards a certain direction. That place should have been an empty world. But when Bai Xie slammed into it, something strange happened. Wave-like patterns appeared in the air. It was as if an invisible wall was blocking Bai Xie's way. Bai Xie shouted, little master. Xiao Bao leaped forward. His small body spun in the air like lightning and grabbed the hilt of the Bixie sword. Powerful spiritual energy poured into it. Bai Xie let out a furious roar. Break! In the next moment, there was a loud boom, and the ripples in the air grew larger and larger until there was a ka sound, and it suddenly shattered. Even with Xiao Bao's composure, when the wall of air shattered and he saw the scene behind him, he revealed an astonished expression. The vast sea of flowers had disappeared. What appeared in front of him was a huge sinkhole. Chapter 1500. It was similar to the demonic vines that chased after Xiao Bao. But it was much thicker than those vines, much more terrifying. The Bai Xie sword trembled a little, and fell down from the sky, carefully moving forward next to Xiao Bao. The originally noisy voice was now very soft. Do you see that altar in front of the giant pit? On that altar, that thing that is emitting red light, that is the Fushi Grand Array's formation eye. As long as we destroy that formation eye, the Fushi Grand Array will naturally collapse. But, those blood-red vines, are all ancient demonic plants from the bottom of the blood abyss vine. Even an out-of-body stage cultivator would be killed by it in a matter of minutes. Fortunately, it is currently in a deep sleep. As long as we destroy the formation eye before it wakes up, the roots of these blood abyss vines will rot and naturally wither. So, you must be careful, don't wake it up. Xiao Bao nodded, with one hand holding the fat rabbit, the other holding the Bai Xie sword. He carefully walked towards the altar in front of him. But, when he walked around the giant pit, and saw the scene inside clearly, he almost screamed out loud. Below the giant pit, there was a mountain of corpses, a sea of blood. Broken limbs, just like that, were scattered all over the place. Nearest to Xiaobao, there were pieces of intestines and organs that were pulled out. Even, in the center of the giant pit, there were people struggling helplessly, moaning in pain and begging. Xiaobao suddenly held the Bai Xie sword tightly, hugging the fat rabbit in his arms tightly. Her big blue eyes were closed, and her little face was as white as a sheet. The Bai Xie sword whispered in his ear, Amitabha, I can't even protect myself, I can't save you, fellow villagers, please don't blame me, it's better for you to die early, try to reincarnate into a good body in your next life. I say, young master, you must not be afraid, you must not panic. If you lose your composure here, we are dead meat. Xiaobao took a deep breath, slowly opened his eyes. His big eyes were watery, but filled with determination. He was a man, he was Jun Morchen who wanted to protect his mother, he must return to his mother's side. Xiaobao walked forward step by step. The journey wasn't long, but the man, the sword, and the rabbit held their breaths in concentration. They were on tenterhooks, as if they had walked for a century. Finally, the red crystal appeared in front of him. Little Treasure stretched out his hand to take it. Bai Xie was startled, he quickly shouted, "You are seeking death. That's the Scarlet Eye demonic crystal, it's filled with yin energy. If an ordinary person touches it, they'll be corroded into a puddle of blood." Xiaobao frowned. Bai Xie said again, "Do you see the 7 small pools beside the altar? Go get some water from each pool and pour it on the red eye demonic crystal." This water was called the 7 Pure Spring. Together with the red lotus in the snow domain, it was used to nourish the blood abyss vine. However, the 7 Clear Springs is the nemesis of the Scarlet Eye Demon Crystal. As long as you pour all 7 types of spring water onto the Scarlet Eye Demon Crystal, it will quench the baleful yin energy within the demon crystal. At that time, you will be able to obtain the Scarlet Eye Demon Crystal, and the Fushi formation will naturally be broken. Xiaobao nodded, he tiptoed to the side of the 7 Clear Springs. He didn't have any container with him, he could only use his small hands to scoop up the spring water. Chapter 1501. My God, who are you? The 7 Clear Spring is one of the purest holy objects in the entire cultivation world. If a normal cultivator's body and soul is not pure enough, they will be burned if they touch it. Bai Xie lowered his voice and continued to nag. Xiaobao didn't pay any attention to him. He carefully poured the first handful of 7 clear water spring on the red-eyed demonic crystal. The cold water poured down, but the red-eyed demon crystal let out a sizzling sound. The crystal shook violently, as if it was in extreme pain and anger. Xiaobao looked at the blood abyss vines nervously, and after realizing that the vines did not react, he heaved a sigh of relief. Just like that, Xiaobao patiently poured 4 handfuls of 7 clear spring on the red-eyed demon crystal. Just as Xiaobao was about to take the 5th handful of 7 clear spring, the ground suddenly trembled. Then, the originally dim Fushi secret realm suddenly had a few strong rays of light shining down. It turned out that there was a huge hole at the top of the Fushi secret realm. What the heck? I can't be so unlucky, Bai Xie exclaimed. Although his voice was very soft, his tone was obviously filled with fear. Little master, quick, hide. The blood abyss vines are awakening. Xiaobao quickly hid behind the altar. Just as he hid, he saw something falling out of the hole in the wall. It was humans. All of them were human corpses, most of them were dead, but there were also some that were half dead. A deep and rough voice of a man came from above, "It's time to eat." Then, the sleeping blood abyss vines seemed to be awakened by something. They started to shake their giant vines, and one by one, they shot down into the hole. Arth! Monsters! Help! Help! Spare me! The blood-red vines moved at lightning speed, wrapping around most of the fallen humans. Following that, the entire space was filled with a crunching sound that made one's teeth ache. Xiaobao hugged the fat rabbit in his arms tightly, his small body was trembling uncontrollably. Bai Xie also couldn't help but tremble lightly, as if he couldn't accept this scene. Just then, there was another conversation coming from above the hole. "Boss, what do we do with these kids?" "Throw them down to feed the monsters." They are all from Dawn Academy, the children of those big families. If we're discovered, we'll all die a horrible death. Hey, they died here without a complete corpse. Who would know that it was related to us? A few childish voices came from above the cave. If you dare to kill me, my dad won't let you off. I'm going to tell Grandpa that you guys bullied me. The rough voice laughed out loud. That's if you're still alive to go back and complain. Kids, don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, blame yourselves for seeing something you shouldn't have seen and poking your nose into something you shouldn't have. Throw them all down. I don't want to die. I want Mommy. I want Daddy. Mother, save me. Boo hoo hoo hoo. Mother, Yang Yang is so scared. Quickly come and save Yang Yang. However, the childish pleas of the child could not be exchanged for any pity. Their small bodies were thrown into the cave one by one. The huge vines were like ferocious beasts baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they excitedly pounced on the young bodies. Chapter 1502. His eyes reddened. Finally, he gritted his teeth and pounced forward. Baisie's speed was not much slower than his. Fuck, if I can still stand this, then I'm not a good young man. The moment the fat rabbit saw Xiao Bao pouncing forward, it let out a loud howl and its body suddenly expanded several times. It pounced forward as well. One man, one sword, and one rabbit, at this moment, were incomparably compatible. The fat rabbit's huge body quickly caught the falling children. Baisie and Xiao Bao had already become one with their swords and slashed at the incoming vines. Bam! Xiao Bao felt as if his body had crashed into a hard boulder. His internal organs shook violently, and he groaned in pain. Baisie's sword was almost knocked away. But no matter what, they still managed to block the Blood Abyss Vine's attack on the children. The children who fell on the fat rabbit thought that they were going to die. When they regained their senses, they realized that they were still standing on a big furry ball. They couldn't help but cheer excitedly. We're not dead. We've been saved. Is it Daddy? Is Daddy here to save us? Stupid, Daddy doesn't even know we're here. The one who saved us must be a superhero. The little radishes looked up in unison, but when they saw the cold-faced boy standing on the flying sword, their eyes widened in disbelief. They were all dumbfounded. Why is it a kid younger than us? He's only a little older than Yang Yang. There were 5 children on the fat rabbit's body. Lu Hongyuan, 8 years old. Murong Hao and Feng Shu, 6 years old. Duan Zi, 5 years old. And the only girl, Nailin Yang, 4 years old. The 5 of them came from rich and powerful families, and they were all talented geniuses. In their families, they had seen all kinds of powerful people. When they first saw that the person who saved them was only 5 years old, they couldn't help but rub their eyes, as if they couldn't believe what they saw. But the next moment, they saw that the blood-red vines, as if they were angry that their prey had been taken away. The vines made a cracking sound, and suddenly, a huge flower bloomed at the top. No, rather than calling it a flower, it would be more accurate to call it a bloody mouth that dripped with black saliva. Looking into the bloody mouth, one could see densely packed sharp teeth and a rotten smell lingering in the air. Be careful. The little radishes shrieked in fright, their faces turning deathly pale. The timid Nailin Yang even covered his eyes and sobbed, not daring to look at his handsome brother being devoured. Sob sob sob, little big brother was implicated in order to save them. However, Nailin Yang soon heard Murong Hao exclaim, so powerful. God, is he really the same age as us? How could he be so powerful? Nailin Yang quickly put down his hand and looked over. She saw the handsome little brother, who she thought was going to be swallowed by the flowers, standing on the long sword with his small body. When the huge man-eating flower of the Blood Abyss Vine rushed over, Xiao Bao suddenly shouted, "Ward off evil." The black long sword shot out like a meteor. At some point, the hilt of the sword was already in Xiao Bao's hand. Chapter 1503. But when they swung their swords, there seemed to be a suffocating air current in the air. Whoosh! The swords flashed, and blood-red liquid splattered everywhere. One of the Blood Abyss Vine's flowers was cut down by Xiao Bao and Baisie. Lu Hongyuan, Nailin Yang, and the others covered their mouths. Their eyes were wide open and filled with shock and disbelief. So powerful. So powerful. So powerful. Who was this boy who was so beautiful that he didn't look like a mortal? How could he be so powerful? However, Xiao Bao's action of cutting down one of the blood abyss vines seemed to have angered all of them. The entire pit shook violently. Then, countless blood abyss vines grew out crazily and rushed down into the pit. In just a moment, the vines had almost devoured all of the humans in the crater. The vines, which were already very thick to begin with, grew even bigger after devouring so much human flesh and blood. Around the pit, a foul and cold air filled the air. The children felt dizzy, their chests tightened, and they groaned in pain. Shit. Bai Xie's voice changed. If the blood abyss vines were to forcefully evolve, I am no match for them. Quick, go back and destroy the Scarlet Eye demonic crystal. The evil warding sword quickly changed direction and flew toward the altar. Behind them, the blood abyss vines were hot on their heels. There's no time to get the 7 clear spring, Bai Xie shouted. Use Bai Xie to pick up the Scarlet Eye demonic crystal. Almost at the same time, Xiao Bao's sword was already aimed at the Scarlet Eye demonic crystal that had already lost half of its luster. But when the tip of the sword touched the Scarlet Eye demonic crystal, a huge rebound came from above. Xiao Bao clenched his teeth and pushed the sword down bit by bit. Be careful. The children behind him screamed in fear. Xiao Bao immediately felt the blood abyss vines coming from behind him. The fastest vine had already touched his back. Xiao Bao wanted to dodge, but the Bai Xie finally broke through the barrier of the Scarlet Eye demonic crystal. If he gave up now, all the blood abyss vines would swarm up and swallow him and the children. Smack. A heavy whip landed on Xiao Bao's thin and small back. His clothes instantly tore apart, revealing his mangled back. Roar. The fat rabbit let out a deafening roar, turned around, and threw the few children to the side of the altar, and directly rushed up. The huge rabbit opened its mouth and swallowed a few blood abyss vines into its stomach. The originally indestructible blood abyss vine began to tremble violently after being swallowed by the fat rabbit. It was even to the extent that some blood abyss vines intended to retreat in terror. However, it was too late for them to retreat. All the blood abyss vines that were swallowed by the fat rabbit began to rot rapidly, until the entire vine withered and turned into dust, disappearing into nothingness. The few little radishes that were left behind stared at this scene with their mouths agape. He didn't expect the immortal brother to be so powerful, but his pet was even more powerful. It actually swallowed so many of those terrifying monsters in one gulp. But in fact, the fat rabbit was not feeling well either. It could devour and corrode everything in the world. Che. Chapter 1504. After the few blood abyss vines were completely corroded, the fat rabbit's huge body suddenly shrunk. With a bang, it fell to the ground, opened its eyes, and struggled to stand up, but it was drowsy, and could no longer move. The blood abyss vines seemed to feel the fat rabbit's weakness. They excitedly bared their fangs and claws, excitedly rushing over, wanting to completely devour the fat rabbit. They could feel that the fat rabbit was very dangerous. But if they could devour it, they would be completely reborn. RRR, rabbit quickly run, woo 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 woo, rabbit is going to be eaten, quick, save bunny. A few little ones screamed and wanted to crawl over. But, their voices, attracted the attention of the blood abyss vines. A few of the thinner blood-colored vines, swayed, and flew in their direction. A few little ones were instantly scared pale, they wanted to escape, but found that their legs were weak, they could not even stand up. Xiao Bao looked back, saw the fat rabbit that was about to be devoured by the blood abyss vines, and saw the children who were so scared that they could not even cry. He suddenly gritted his teeth, retracted the sword in his hand, and pushed forward. Bai Xie, protect rabbit and those children for me. Little master, what are you trying to do? Xiao Bao did not care about Bai Xie's angry roar. With a quick step, he rushed forward, using his small and tender hands, directly hugged the red-eyed devil crystal. Ah. The intense pain from his palms spread to every inch of his bones and flesh. Xiao Bao seemed to hear the sound of his bones and flesh being burned. Even with his perseverance, he let out a shrill cry. But, because of his action, the blood abyss vines seemed to be frightened. They all gave up on the fat rabbit and the children, and rushed towards him in fear. Little Master! Bai Xie quickly rushed back, wanting to protect Xiao Bao. But, the number of blood abyss vines rushing towards Xiao Bao was too many. Bai Xie cut a few, but was still flung away by the thickest few, landing beside the fat rabbit, and could no longer fly on its own. Ao tilde 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 hoo hoo. The fat rabbit struggled to raise its head, wanting to save its little master. But, the sleepiness and numbness brought about by devouring energy that exceeded its limit, made it unable to move. Blood-red tears flowed down from the fat rabbit's two mung-bean eyes. It fiercely bit its own thigh, causing blood to drip down, and the wound was so deep that the bone could be seen. But it didn't care about the pain at all. Biting again and again, he stimulated his numb and stiff body. Little Master, wait for this rabbit will definitely save you. The children's eyes reddened when they saw this scene. Nailin Yang started crying. Wah, I don't want little big brother to die. Where are you, Daddy? Grandpa, where are you? Can you come and save little brother? Even Lu Hongyuan, who was the oldest, and Feng Shu, who was the calmest, couldn't stop wiping away their tears. Remorse and guilt almost crushed their small hearts. It's all our fault. If it weren't for saving us, he wouldn't have needed to come out. Why did we have to be so naughty and run away from Dawn Academy? If we hadn't run away, we wouldn't have seen that. If we hadn't seen it, we wouldn't have been thrown here to feed the monsters, and we wouldn't have implicated others. Chapter 1505. The few little fellows cried and shouted. Suddenly, they steeled their hearts and rushed directly toward the blood abyss vine that wrapped around Xiaobao. Baddie, baddie, I'll bite you to death. Don't bully our boss. That's right, that's our savior, and also our boss. Whoever dares to bully our boss, we'll fight them to the death. Woo woo woo, let go of my big brother. The evil warding sword buzzed and shot up from the ground. Damn it, today's limelight was stolen by a bunch of kids. How can this be? Trash blood abyss vines. Weren't you raised to corrode my protective barrier? Come at me if you can, I'll fight you to the death. Since I've recognized him as my master, I won't allow you to bully him. The exorcism sword whistled through the air as it charged toward the blood abyss vine that had wrapped around Xiaobao. But his voice was choked with sorrow and sobs. Because he knew that even if he killed all the blood abyss vines now, it would still be impossible for little Bao to survive unscathed. These blood abyss vines had no time to care about him and the child. It was because they were devouring little master's body. In fact, even if the blood abyss vine did not do anything, just the demonic chi from the scarlet eye demonic crystal would be enough to completely destroy its little master's body. He was so useless. He was too useless. He thought that he was invincible and invincible. He even wanted to deceive the little master and use him to escape from this damned place. But he didn't expect that he couldn't even protect his only master. Roar. The fat rabbit finally stood up, and its body expanded several times. Its entire body was drenched in blood, and its eyes were completely red. There was not the slightest bit of warmth in his eyes, only pure killing intent. Since they dared to hurt its little master, it wanted to devour all of these monsters. It wanted to destroy everything. It was clamorous outside. However, little Bao, who was enveloped by the blood abyss vine, felt that all the warmth and vitality in his body were gradually slipping away. The blood abyss vine opened its sharp teeth and bit his body. Intense tearing pain came from every inch of his flesh and skin. However, this was not the most painful part. What hurt him the most was the scarlet-eyed demonic crystal that he was hugging tightly in his arms. The baleful yin energy on the demonic crystal was slowly corroding his body. Xiaobao could clearly feel that the spiritual power he had cultivated in his body had disappeared. His dantian had disappeared. His whole body was in so much pain that it was unbearable. Mother, Xiaobao misses you so much. I really want to see you again. No, it was better not to see him. If his mother saw him like this, how distressed and uncomfortable would she be? He didn't want to see his mother cry. He hoped that his mother would always be happy and cheerful. The scarlet eye demonic crystal flickered and emitted a dazzling red light. They were like the greedy eyes of a monster. Immortal physique. This was a celestial physique. So delicious, so tender, so fragrant. It was devouring it bit by bit. As long as it finished devouring it, it would be able to gain sentience and obtain a true new life. However, right at this moment, Little Bao suddenly opened his eyes. A cold and fearless smile appeared on his blood-covered face. In the next moment, a blue vortex appeared in his dantian. He was his mother's son. He was his father's son. Chapter 1506. Even if he had to perish together, he would not admit defeat, nor would he let this stupid stone hurt the fat rabbit and Bai Xie. A large amount of black gas began to gush out from the scarlet eye demonic crystal and was absorbed by Xiao Bao's dantian. The red-eyed demonic crystal panicked and struggled to break free from Xiao Bao's grasp. However, that pair of blooded hands grabbed the crystal tightly. A young but hoarse voice came from his throat. I said, "I will destroy this secret realm," Daddy said. A man must do what he says. Little Treasure will definitely do it. But Mother, I'm sorry. Xiao Bao will never be able to return to your side. Mother, don't be sad, don't be sad. No matter where Xiao Bao goes, he will love you the most, love you the most. Boom. The pit began to shake violently. No, it would be more accurate to say that the entire Fushi secret realm was shaking violently. The huge altar's floor began to crack. Countless rocks rolled into the bottom of the pit. The little fellows lost their footing and almost rolled down with him. It was the Bixie sword with its sharp eyes and quick hands that caught them. The blood abyss vines that were biting and tearing at Little Bao were now trembling violently in fear. As the black gas in the scarlet eye demonic crystal was slowly devoured by Xiao Bao's body, the blood abyss vines began to wither one by one. This time, they were really panicking. He even wished for nothing more than to uproot himself and escape from the Fushi Grand Array. However, there was no way the fat rabbit would allow them to leave. With a roar, he charged forward and devoured them one by one. However, when the fat rabbit wanted to rush over to save Xiao Bao, when it came into contact with the scarlet eye demonic crystal and the black mist surrounding Xiao Bao, it let out a pained howl and was directly bounced back. The fat rabbit wanted to rush forward again but was stopped by Bai Xie. Don't waste your energy. That's the baleful yin qi of the scarlet-eyed demonic crystal. I don't know what kind of ferocious beast you are, but even the ancient divine beasts of the Shoshin continent would not be able to fight against such strong baleful yin qi when they are still young. The fat rabbit opened its mouth and roared angrily, revealing its bloody lips and teeth. Not to mention the kids, even Bai Xie was trembling in fear. But then, Bai Xie turned to look at Xiao Bao, and his voice was filled with shock. What kind of monstrous little master did I recognize? He could actually devour the baleful yin qi of the scarlet-eyed demonic crystal. Heavens, that's baleful yin qi. Even my evil warding sword would be corroded if it touched it. Jian who can talk, do you know how to save our boss? The little radish head beside him asked with anticipation. Bai Xie swung his sword and shouted angrily, "You are the cheap one. It's not that I don't want to save Little Master, it's just that I'm powerless. Right now, Little Master is in a stalemate with the Scarlet Eye demonic crystal's power, and it has even formed a barrier. Even the 7 spring water can't penetrate it. Now, we can only wait and see whether Little Master will be able to devour the power of the Scarlet Eye demon crystal, or the Scarlet Eye demon crystal will completely devour Little Master." Although Bai Xie said that, the fat rabbit was still like a madman, it kept hitting the black mist. Even if his skin and fur fell off and there wasn't a single part of his body that was intact, he still refused to stop. Chapter 1507. The little ones kneeled on the ground, wiping their tears as they stared at Xiao Bao's direction in fear and anticipation. But what made everyone despair was, the black mist around Xiao Bao was getting thicker and thicker. The blood abyss vines that were supposed to have rotted and disappeared were now growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Bai Xie's voice was trembling, filled with endless regret. I can't feel Little Master's aura. That meant that Xiao Bao's life force was slowly being devoured by the red-eye demonic crystal. But there was nothing they could do. Not only was there nothing they could do, they could only run away. The Fushi Grand Array stopped collapsing, and the blood abyss vines were growing faster and faster. There were even 2 vines that were charging towards them. Bai Xie leaped up and cut the 2 vines in half. But because the red-eye demonic crystal had taken the initiative, the vines were growing faster and faster. They were about to return to their prime. Bai Xie was anxious. No, we can't stay here any longer. I promised Little Master to protect you all. I can't let you all die here. I can't let Little Master's sacrifice go to waste. No, I'm not leaving. Nailin Yang screamed. Yang Yang is not leaving. Yang Yang wants to stay with little brother. Little brother will not die. Sob sob sob. Lu Hongyuan and the rest were scared out of their wits. Their limbs were cold and shivering. But when they heard Bai Xie and Nailin Yang's words, all of them sniffled and clenched their fists. Others fell into danger to save us. If we abandon them, what difference is there between us and a shameless bastard? My father taught me not to be such a bad person, Lu Hongyuan said resolutely. The other little ones did not understand Lu Hongyuan's words, but they all nodded with red eyes. Yes, we are not leaving. We will cheer for boss. Bai Xie was about to go crazy, but there was nothing he could do to these little ones. Not to mention the fat rabbit who had already gone mad. He was thinking of knocking the little ones out one by one and taking them away. Suddenly, powerful yin energy poured out like a flood that had its floodgates opened. The blood abyss vines that were growing bit by bit suddenly grew bigger, emitting a thick stench of blood. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws at them. Clang! Bai Xie fell to the ground and the sword trembled. His voice was hoarse and trembling, filled with pain and despair. Young master, had little master died? Hence, the scarlet-eyed demonic crystal had completely recovered and was even stronger than before. Hence, when the Fushi Grand Array was reformed, the blood abyss vines became even more terrifying. It was destined to be buried here. With its divine sense erased, it would never be able to make a sound again. But if it died, then so be it. Why did it have to implicate its little master? The body of the sword buzzed and became completely silent, as if it had given up all hope. The little fellows seemed to have realized something as well. They stared blankly at the scene in front of them as tears dripped down their cheeks. Wow! Little brother! Woo woo woo! Lu Hongyuan reached out and pulled Nailin Yang into his arms. He choked with sobs. Yang Yang, don't cry. Your little brother is so brave. He didn't fear death to save us. We can't be weak. We can't be afraid of death. Yes, death is death. I'm a man, I'm not afraid. Chapter 1508. The fat rabbit's eyes are blinking, already completely filled with red. If someone were to look at its eyes right now, they would find that the pair of Mungbin eyes has grown a bit bigger. They have turned into 2 blood-red round eyes. However, this pair of round eyes doesn't have the slightest bit of human nature, only endless cruelty and indifference. That is indiscriminate cruelty, indifference towards all living things in this world. Only that little figure wrapped in black gas is reflected in its eyes, hanging on to its little conscience. As long as this thread is broken, then it will become the evil demon that everyone in this world fears, and all living things hate. The air is filled with the stench of decay and blood, like a purgatory that can consign people to eternal damnation. But even more than that, there is sorrow, pain, and regret. Sorrow for the little person's life fading away, pain for its own helplessness, regret for not being strong enough. However, at this time, a sudden change. 2 strong lights come crashing down from above the Fushi secret realm. Then, the entire secret realm starts to shake violently. Bai Xie, who was originally disheartened, suddenly jumps up from the ground. His voice changed. What's wrong? What's wrong? Fuck, wait a minute. This is godly power. What's the other power? Why have I never seen it before? Bai Xie stares blankly at Xiao Bao, who is wrapped in the 2 lights. His sword body trembles uncontrollably. Fuck. This can't be real, right? How can this be? Am I dreaming? Little master, who the hell are you? And the fat rabbit's completely bloodshot eyes regain a trace of clarity. Its nose twitches, as if it smells a familiar scent. Then, tears condense in the round mung bin eyes, and drops fall. Woo woo woo, female devil, Di Jun, hurry up and save the little master. Shoshen continent, polar domain. Jun Shong, this is the information we have submitted. May I ask how you would like to reply? Elder Chang waves his hand, the image that originally appeared in the void disappears, he respectfully bows his head towards Di Mingju. The man sitting high above on the throne was handsome and powerful, cold and dignified, making people subconsciously look up to him. Many immortals in the firmament hall looked up at the supreme ruler in awe and reverence. But Di Mingju's expression is very cold and distant. The news of power struggles that could make ordinary immortals' blood boil with excitement didn't even have the qualifications to make his eyebrows twitch. This was their emperor, their master, and the only expert they followed. Di Feng curled his fingers and knocked on the back of the chair expressionlessly. Just as he was about to speak, his expression abruptly changed, and he frowned slightly. Elder Chang, who was standing closer, noticed something and asked anxiously, "My lord, what's wrong?" With a calm face, Di Mingju waves his hand, everyone withdraw. Everyone in the Lingxiao Hall looked at each other. They did not know why the Empyrean Emperor asked them to leave halfway through the discussion. But for a long time, their reverence for Di Mingju still makes them obey without question. After everyone retreats, Di Mingju impressively stands up from his seat, his expression gloomy and frightening. "My lord, what's wrong?" Di Mingju smiles coldly. Someone actually has the audacity to touch Ben Jun's son. Chapter 1509. Then, he came to a sudden realization. Yes, Di Jun had said more than once that the polar domain's future little master was Miss Jun's son. The talented 5-year-old boy with the immortal spirit body. Elder Chang had never seen Miss Jun's son before. In his heart, he felt somewhat uncomfortable that someone who did not have the bloodline of the Mohist clan would inherit the polar domain. However, considering the sovereign monarch's current cultivation, it was nearly impossible for him to leave behind a descendant. As for those Tom, Dick, and Harry from the side branch of the Mo family, what were they? Rather than letting them inherit the polar domain, it would be better to let the son of the emperor's beloved do it. What's more, Elder Chang has been with Yingmai and Hanyi for many years. How loyal they are. He also knew the pride hidden in their hearts. Since even they were willing to recognize that little boy as the future lord of the polar domain, it proved that Miss Jun's son was indeed outstanding. Elder Chang was about to ask little Gongzi what was wrong. Di Ming. His blue eyes flashed slightly, and the divine power in his body suddenly surged. Then, his finger quickly drew a complicated pattern in the air. As every line on the totem lit up, the divine power was compressed and absorbed at a rapid speed. Elder Chang could imagine how terrifying the power would be when this divine power was unleashed from the other end. However, at that moment, Elder Chang had completely forgotten about that. His eyes were filled with shock, and his words were trembling. Jun Shong, how could you use the blood knot totem? It can only be used between relatives who are related by blood. If two people who were not related by blood were to use the blood knot totem on each other, the success rate was only 1 in 1,000. Furthermore, if there was the slightest bit of carelessness, both parties would suffer a backlash. Di Ming. He smiled coldly. There was a hint of anxiety in his smile, but there was even more arrogance in it. If I say Xiaobao is my son, then he is my son. From the first time they met, Di Ming, she felt an indescribable pity and heartache for him. Even though the two of them were often at odds with each other, he did not want to admit how much his heart beat when the little fellow called him daddy. A kind of joy and satisfaction that he had never felt before welled up in his heart. So, Di Ming? He wanted to protect Xiaobao and make him the future master of the polar domain. It's not just because of Muyan. From the moment the little guy started to call him daddy, Di Ming's attitude towards Di Ming had changed. To him, Xiaobao was his son. A huge amount of divine power flowed into the blood knot totem. Elder Chang watched nervously from the side. The spiritual energy in his body was stirring, fearing that an accident would happen and he wouldn't be able to save him in time. Even defeating armies, who had always been cold and indifferent, had a hint of solemnity on his face. He looked at Di Ming with concern. Every move of yours. The backlash of the blood knot totem was not a joke. Even Jun Shong might be seriously injured. However, time passed slowly. Di Ming. As more and more divine power entered the blood knot totem, the pattern in the air became brighter and brighter. However, there was no backlash at all when his divine power overflowed. Even Elder Chang was stunned. No backlash. He actually succeeded. Damn, what kind of luck does Jun Shong have? Chapter 15:10. But Jun Shong, he actually succeeded. No, he should ask, what kind of divine being is Miss Jun's child, that he can actually withstand Jun Shong's divine power through the blood knot totem? Elder Chang is amazed. Di Ming Ju only frowns, his face is frighteningly gloomy. His divine power belongs to the offensive category. Just now, through the blood knot totem, he really did guide his divine power to Xiao Bao. It directly swallowed and destroyed that broken thing that dared to attack Xiao Bao. However, Di Ming Ju's heart is still unable to calm down. He always feels flustered and fearful, as if something important is leaving him. Xiao Bao, Di Ming Ju impressively gets up. Elder Chang, you handle the following matters. Jun Shong, Ben Jun wants to return to the Xiuzhen continent. If something really happened to Xiao Bao, how sad and painful would Muyan be? If something really happened to Xiao Bao, he really wishes that he could overturn and destroy the entire Xiuzhen continent. Elder Chang originally wanted to speak again, but he is startled by Di Ming Ju's bone-chilling eyes. He can't even say half a word. The current Jun Shong is really frightening. For Jun Shong, that child isn't just love the house and its crow, is it really that important? At this moment, defeating armies, who has been silent all this time, suddenly opens his mouth. Jun Shong, look at the totem. Elder Chang and Di Ming Ju both turn to look. They see that the blood knot totem, which had just dimmed, suddenly emits a faint white light. That white light intertwines and fuses with Di Ming Ju's ice blue divine power. It's as if a gorgeous halo has been painted around each rune, magnificent and magnificent. Elder Chang gasps, his eyes almost bulging out of his head in shock. This is the rotation of holy sound, the second form of the Shun musician skill, Saint's Benevolence. Heavens, this is something only a 5th level Shun musician can do. Jun Shong, is it Miss Jun? She has already mastered the 5th level Shun musician skill. Elder Chang is one of the few people in the Xiuzhen continent who has seen the Shun musicians in their heyday. So he knows what a 5th level Shun musician skill means. The most frightening thing was that Miss Jun's current cultivation level was only at the Anidia stage. A low-level fasting stage cultivator can actually master the skills of a 5th level Shun musician. Heavens! What kind of monster is this Miss Jun? This talent is even more frightening than Bailey Liuyin, the founder of the Shun musicians. Di Ming Ju looks at the blood knot totem wrapped in a halo of light, and presses a hand on his chest. Feeling his pounding heart, a gentle smile appeared in his eyes. Xiao Bao was fine. He could sense that little treasure's life force was recovering bit by bit. It was Mu Yang saved Xiao Bao. It should be said that the two of them saved Xiao Bao together. Soon after, Di Ming Ju can't help but be as shocked as Elder Chang. He didn't expect that Yan Yan's strength had already grown to such an extent. He still remembers that when he first met Yang Yang, she was just an ordinary mortal without even a trace of spiritual power. But in just a short year or two, Yan Yan's progress is really unbelievably fast. Di Ming Ju believes that very soon, Yang Yang will be able to stand side by side with him. From then on, their family would never be separated again. However, the next moment. Chapter 15:11. Big Brother, is Big Brother alright? Quick, look. Boss's flesh and blood have all grown back. Monsters, the monsters are gone, they're all dead. The few little fellows surrounded little Bao and chattered incessantly, and they were both nervous and excited. Jian, who can talk, say something, what happened to Big Brother? Bai Xie took a deep breath and finally found his voice. Damn, he really came back to life. This is no longer a miracle, this is a miracle. Is there really such a thing as bringing the dead back to life? Wait a minute, even if there is no doctor here. How on earth was Little Master saved? And, how did the divine power descend just now? Even the red-eye demon crystal was turned into ashes in seconds. Damn, how powerful is the owner of this divine power? I'm really a lucky bastard. I casually recognized a master, and his actually such a powerful existence. Wahahaha, I am rich now, I will be able to eat and drink, pick up girls, power and wealth, it will all be mine. Bai Xie, alone, oh no, a sword, was talking non-stop. He was so excited that he had gone crazy. The little fellows looked at it and shook their heads in unison. Is Jian crazy? But Jian said that Big Brother is fine. Nailan Yang held his face, his eyes were still red and swollen like walnuts, but his face was full of smiles. Bai Xie suddenly came back to his senses, he shouted angrily, you are the lowly ones, your whole family is lowly. My name is Bai Xie from Bai Xie sword. It's an ancient divine sword, understand? The little fellows nodded in unison, still in a daze. Then we will call you Bai Xie who can talk. Hihi, it sounds better than Jian. Bang. Bai Xie sword slammed onto a rock. Damn it, I don't want to live anymore. That's why I hate little brats the most. Roar. Suddenly, the fat rabbit let out a loud roar, it was filled with shock and fear. Bai Xie and the little ones came back to their senses, they looked at Xiao Bao nervously. They knew, the only thing that could make the fat rabbit so nervous was Xiao Bao. With one look, Bai Xie was dumbfounded. The few little fellows blinked their eyes, somewhat unable to react to what had happened. Xiao Bao's badly mutilated body had basically healed completely. The scarlet-eyed demonic crystal in his arms was originally surrounded by a thick black aura. At this time, the black gas had almost dissipated. Just as Bai Xie was thinking, he was going to wait for the red-eye demonic crystal to disappear completely. He was going to rush over and take the red-eye demonic crystal from his little master's arms. This way, they would be able to escape. However, at this very moment, at the moment when the baleful yin qi around the scarlet-eyed demon crystal had almost completely disappeared, a faint blue vortex appeared in Xiaobao's dantian. This vortex had also appeared when Xiao Bao was confronting the scarlet-eye demonic crystal. However, because Xiaobao's aura was too weak at that time, he only appeared for a short while before he was engulfed by the yin energy of the scarlet-eye demonic crystal. That was why Bai Xie and the others didn't notice it. But now, the blue vortex had become extremely obvious. And it was spinning at a very fast speed. The scarlet-eyed demonic crystal began to tremble violently, as if it was trying to break free from its grip. Chapter 15:12. What's wrong? What's going on? Little Rascal asked. The fat rabbit anxiously hugged its front paws together, then separated them again as it dug at the ground with all its might, squeaking non-stop. The Bai Xie sword shook. Little Master, what are you doing? Could it be? Before Bai Xie could finish, the ground beneath his feet started to tremble violently. Ka, ripples started to appear in the void, cracks started to spread across the sky like a spiderweb, the sound of something shattering could be heard. Careful. Bai Xie waved his sword and was about to rush over to pick up the little guys. The pit is going to collapse. However, before it finished speaking, a light blue halo enveloped the few little fellows, the Bixie sword, and the fat rabbit. They slowly rose into the air. Almost at the same time, a rumbling sound came from the sinkhole. The entire altar, the 7 pure springs, and the sinkhole filled with severed limbs were all crushed by the falling boulders. The pit disappeared, the Fuxi Grand Array was broken, and the snow-red lotus appeared in front of Bai Xie and the others. But the trembling did not stop. The shocking scene caused by Xiao Bao did not stop either. The blue whirlpool in Xiao Bao's dantian did not disappear. Instead, it was spinning faster and faster. Then, Bai Xie looked at the snow-red lotus in shock, as if they were all uprooted by a huge force. They turned into red energy spots in the void and flew towards Xiao Bao's dantian. Bai Xie cursed, his voice was shaking. He is devouring the Fuxi Grand Array. No, not the Fuxi Grand Array, damn it, he is trying to devour the entire Fuxi secret realm? What happened next was to prove Bai Xie's conjecture. All the living beings in the Fuxi secret realm, be it the demonic plants or the ferocious beasts. They were all coiled up by a blue thread, curling up and hanging in the air. Before they could even struggle, the demonic plants and ferocious beasts all turned into colorful energy spots and surged towards Xiao Bao. All the living beings in the Fuxi secret realm were disappearing bit by bit. They turned into pure energy and were absorbed into Xiao Bao's dantian. The Fuxi secret realm was collapsing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The only ones that were unharmed were Bai Xie, the fat rabbit, and the little guy. The fat rabbit was both excited and worried. Its claws kept scratching around the blue circle of light. At first, the little fellows were shocked and uneasy. When they saw this scene, they could only exclaim in surprise. Boss is so amazing. He actually ate so many monsters. Can a black, smelly monster be eaten? Little big brother eats too much. Won't he be bloated? Of course, ordinary people can't eat it, but who is our boss? These monsters are just enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Bai Xie turned his sword around and laughed. Did this group of foolish humans understand what this scene before them signified? An ordinary human. Humans. It actually devoured a Fuxi secret realm that could trap the Bai Xie sword. Was this something a human could do? Also, did Little Master eat too much? Would his ordinary human body be able to withstand it? Chapter 15-13. Finally, the entire Fuxi secret realm's heaven and earth essence was completely absorbed by Xiao Bao. The entire secret realm turned into powder and completely collapsed. In the northernmost region of Danyang mountain range, a huge crater appeared. Half of Danyang mountain range shook violently, birds, beasts and insects fled in all directions, as if in fear, but also as if extremely excited. Large pieces of rubble were about to drown Xiao Bao. The evil warding sword hurriedly rushed out of the circle of light to save its little master. But the fat rabbit's movements were faster than it. In almost a blink of an eye, it rushed out of the blue circle of light and pounced onto Xiao Bao. Using its mouth to hold him in its mouth, it directly jumped out of the pile of rubble. The blue circle of light slowly disappeared. The few little fellows ran to Xiao Bao's side, looked at the unharmed exquisite and beautiful little boy, then looked at the huge bottomless crater in front of them, and simultaneously shuddered. Those monsters, those terrifying black chi, and the little boy on the verge of death. They thought they were dead for sure, never did they expect that in the end, they all survived. The one who saved them was this immature child in front of them, a child younger than them. No. No matter who this little boy was, or where he came from. From now on, this little boy was their boss. I wonder what boss's name is. We want to follow boss. Will boss despise us for being too useless? Why hasn't big brother woken up yet? Yang, don't be rude, call him boss. If not for boss saving us, we would never be able to see father and mother again. Nailin Yang nodded innocently. Why hasn't boss woken up yet? Lu Hongyuan frowned. Don't you guys feel that something is wrong? What's wrong? Lu Hongyuan raised his head. The sky turned dark, it darkened so quickly. The few little fellows immediately raised their heads, only to discover to their surprise. When they flew out of Fuxi secret realm, it was still daytime, the sun hung high in the blue sky. But at this moment, the sun was long gone. Replacing it was a dense layer of clouds. These clouds, some were pitch black, some were rainbow-colored, and there were also those ice blue clouds like the sea. Without them noticing, these clouds gathered more and more, finally enveloping more than half of Danyang mountain range. Brother Jianjian, Grandpa's son has disappeared. So many clouds, it's pitch black, Yang Yang is scared. Brother Jian, what's going on? Bai Xie swung its sword and did not answer them. Instead, it made a gulping sound. So, he devoured the entire Fushi secret realm just to advance. But fuck, what kind of advancement would require so much energy? Even if you want to advance to the nascent soul stage, you don't need the energy of a secret realm. The little fellows looked at each other. Boss wants to advance. What does that mean? It means to become stronger. Boss is already so powerful. You have to become even more powerful. The little fellows were all talking at once, and some of them even wanted to run over to take a look at Xiaobao. However, the fat rabbit grinned, revealed its sharp fangs, and roared fiercely, scaring them all away. Little Master was about to advance. This was the most crucial moment for Little Master. He had to guard it well. Chapter 15-14. The little fellows were not angered by the roar of the fat rabbit. They sat in a row, cupping their faces and holding their chins, watching the sleeping boy patiently and nervously. The clouds in the sky grew thicker. This time, the entire Danyang mountain range, the Woodfern Sea, and even the entire azure blue world were shrouded by the clouds. The day turned into night. In the sky above Danyang mountain range, thunder rumbled faintly. Faintly, 7 colored rays of light flickered from time to time. The cultivators of the azure blue world were alarmed. They all rushed outside, looking in the direction of the Danyang mountain range. Some even rushed to the vicinity of the Danyang mountain range, trying to find the source of the phenomenon and see if they could find any treasures. However, they found that the Danyang mountain range was too big. It stretched for thousands of miles. Even the best flying boat could not find it. At this moment, the phenomenon was still going on. Thunderbolts began to descend from the clouds one after another. Every single one of them brought with it an earth-shattering might. But when they hit the ground, they suddenly disappeared without a trace. Not even a small pit was left. It was as if they had been swallowed by something. However, the falling bolts of lightning seemed to have formed a barrier. If anyone tried to enter the Danyang mountain range, they would be struck by the lightning and instantly turned into charcoal. The cultivators could not resist the temptation, but they could only suppress their curiosity and wait outside the Danyang mountain range. What's going on? Is it the birth of a treasure? No, I think it's more like someone has broken through. Are you kidding me? Even if someone has broken through to the tribulation stage, something like this shouldn't happen. The thunderbolts lasted for 6 whole hours. The entire azure blue world was pitch black, to the point where one could not even see their own fingers. Suddenly, a blinding white light shot into the sky from the Danyang mountain range. The white light pierced a hole in the thick clouds. Then, like fireworks exploding, colorful rays of light shot out in all directions in the sky. It was as if a knife had cut through the clouds, revealing the blue sky and the blazing sun. Light had descended upon the land again. One could vaguely hear the melodious sound of a zither and the roar from the depths of one's soul. Subsequently, thousands of blue rays of light descended from the sky and landed in every corner of the Danyang mountain range. The light in the sky flourished, vast and majestic, like raging waves. On the ground, many people from the azure blue realm couldn't help but cover their eyes, but they also couldn't help but raise their heads to look. My eyes must be playing tricks on me. I think I saw 2 suns. Yes, I saw it too. One big and one small. Are you kidding me? How can there be 2 suns? You must have been dazzled by the light and seen wrongly. That's right. Look up now. There's only 1 sun. In the courtyard of the Inu Palace. Star Wolf, Ying Mai, and Han Yi hurriedly rush out of the house. They look at the 2 scorching suns in the sky, one big and one small. Astonishment almost bursts from their faces. Yang spirit root. In this world, there's actually a second person with the same Yang spiritual root as Jun Shong. No, that's impossible. There must be a mistake. Moreover, there was no real, heaven-swallowing glorious sun. Maybe it was just an accident. Chapter 15:15. Just like the moon reflected in the water, blown away by the wind. Hanyi lets out a breath. That's what I said. How could there be a second young spirit root in this world? That's a young spirit root. Yingmai also nods in silence. That's right, if there's a second young spirit root. Wouldn't that mean that there's a second person that's compatible with Miss Jun's moon spirit root? This is obviously impossible. Only Star Wolf frowned slightly, looking at the place where the little sun disappeared in the sky, not saying a word for a long time. Was that really not the vision caused by the young spirit root just now? Although the heaven-swallowing glorious sun didn't really appear, and the movement it caused is far less than the vision when the young spirit root's bloodline is activated. But when Jun Shong triggered the heaven-swallowing glorious sun, for the third time, Star Wolf was by his side. He feels that the energy contained in today's vision is somewhat similar to the divine power that surrounded Jun Shong that day. North of Dan Yang mountain range. In the beginning, when the 10,000 lightning bolts fall, the little guys are scared to death. But soon, they find that none of those lightning bolts fall on them, but are all swallowed up by the vortex on Xiaobao's belly. As more and more lightning bolts fall, beads of sweat start to appear on Xiaobao's forehead, and his little body keeps spasming. This time, the little guys are worried again. Boss seems to be in pain. Did he eat too much? One time, Shu Shu secretly ate too much, and then his belly hurt. You think Boss is you? Gluttonous ghost. The little guys want to approach, but they're all scared away by the fat rabbit baring its teeth. The fat rabbit's figure grows, and just like that, it firmly protects Xiao Bao in its arms. Like guarding its most precious treasure, not letting anyone approach. As time goes by, the vortex in Xiao Bao's dantian spins faster and faster, and the sweat on his body increases. His little body curls up in the fat rabbit's hairy arms. A crystal teardrop falls from the corner of his eye. The young and thin little body gently trembles, and a weak but expectant voice spits out from between his lips and teeth, Nyang Qin. Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao misses you so much. Daddy. Xiao Bao, hurts. The fat rabbit whimpered and kept scratching the ground with its claws. It didn't even notice that it was bleeding profusely. He's too weak. Too weak. That's why I can't help the little master at all. She could not help him escape from danger, nor could she help him find the she-devil. Suddenly, the Bixia sword swayed, and the blade flew up. Listen, is that the sound of a zither? The little fellows all tilted their heads. Even the fat rabbit couldn't help but raise its head. Then, its dim Mung Bin eyes suddenly lit up. High mountains and flowing rivers, gentle and continuous. It was like the sound of a pendant ring, rising in spirals and melodious. It was as if a hand was gently caressing Xiaobao's frail body. A familiar figure whispered in Xiaobao's ear over and over again. Xiaobao, mother misses you very much. Xiaobao, you must hold on and return to mother's side. Xiaobao, in the whole world, you are the one mother loves the most. You must not leave mother. Boom. A dark blue light radiated from Xiaobao's body and instantly enveloped him. The trembling stopped, and so did the sweating and pain. The light continued to wash over little Bao's body. Every inch of his meridians, dantian, even his flesh and bones, and even his soul were being reconstructed bit by bit. Chapter 15:16. Roar tilde. The fat rabbit roars and instantly becomes small, pouncing into Xiao Bao's arms. It vigorously arches in his arms, making whimpering sounds. Xiao Bao holds the fat rabbit in his arms, his voice emotional. Rabbit, I'm sorry, I made you worry. As he speaks, he takes out the medicine that Muyan refined from the storage ring and applies it on the rabbit's scarred body and paws. The fat rabbit that was cold and surging with murderous intent towards the little guy and Bai Xie. But in Xiao Bao's arms, it's unreasonably well behaved. It obediently extends its paws to let him apply the medicine. From time to time, it makes whimpering sounds that seem like a spoiled child, but also like a complaint. Xiao Bao's cold and delicate little face also shows a trace of gentleness. His movements as he applies the medicine to the rabbit are especially gentle. After applying the medicine, Xiao Bao looks up at the little guy and Bai Xie. Without waiting for Xiao Bao to speak, the 5 little guys kneel down one by one. Greetings, boss. Thank you, boss, for saving our lives. Xiao Bao frowns. Who are you calling boss? Murong Hao looks up. You risked your life to save us, so you are our boss. Yes, we will follow you from now on. Boss, please let us work like cattle and horses, to repay you for saving our lives. Xiao Bao turns his head. No. Why? Xiao Bao looks at them expressionlessly. You guys are too noisy. There's already a very noisy Bai Xie. If he brings 5 more, what if they disturb Nyang Qin? With that, he directly grabs the Bai Xie sword and leaves. Woo woo, boss doesn't want us anymore. Woo woo, little brother, Yang Yang won't be noisy, please don't abandon us, okay? Boss, I'll swear, I'll be good, I won't be noisy. Once you're the boss, you'll always be the boss. Boss, if you really don't want us, we'll jump into this pit, we don't want to live anymore. The little guys are used to being willful and mischievous. Seeing that the only boss they acknowledge actually doesn't want them. Each and every one of them feels like the sky is going to collapse. He actually dared to rush to the collapsed Fuxi secret realm and tried to jump into it. Little Bao and Bai Xie were startled. Bai Xie quickly said, Little master, they were captured by someone else. This Danyang mountain range is huge, and there are many ferocious beasts in here. A few kids can never get out. Why don't you do a good deed and bring them out of the Danyang mountain range? The blade of the sword swayed. Just by looking at their clothes, you can tell that they have an extraordinary background. Think about it, if you send them back, their parents, oh no, their parents will definitely give you a lot of crystals as a reward. This way, your conscience will be at ease, and you'll receive the benefits. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, isn't that great? Xiao Bao thought about it and nodded seriously. Yes, I want something that Nyang Qin likes as a reward. Good. Good. I know that you love your mother the most, and everything is based on your mother's preferences. TSK, TSK, TSK. I wonder what kind of obeison could give birth to such a monstrous son. Xiao Bao turned around and looked at the little ones. Come back. When the little fellows heard this, they didn't hesitate at all and swiftly scurried over to Xiao Bao. All of them looked at him in surprise. Boss, are you willing to acknowledge us as your underlings? Yang Yang is my little sister. Chapter 15-17. I can bring you out of Danyang mountain range, but I have a condition. In Danyang mountain range, you have to listen to me. You are our boss, of course we will listen to you. Boss, do you admit that we're your underlings now? Boss, what's your name? Yeah boss, we are your underlings, we can't not know your name. Yang Yang also wants to know little brother's name. Xiao Bao's face tightened. I am Jun Morchen. How nice. Boss's name is so nice. Boss, I am Murong Hao, you can call me Hao Hao. I am Yang Yang. Little brother, your name is too nice. Xiao Bao proudly raised his chin, mother gave it to me. Nalan Yang held his face, little brother's mother must be the best person in the world. Xiao Bao's brows curved into a smile, looking at the little radishes with a better expression. Of course his mother was the best person in the world. Bai Xie looked at the little brats flattering him and couldn't help but turn his sword around. These little brats from the other world are really something. How old are they? But they are already almost immortal. But the most monstrous of them all is definitely his little master. Bai Xie couldn't help but shake his sword. He was now the weapon spirit of the Bai Xie sword, a weapon spirit that had half of his soul corroded. Thus, he could only vaguely feel a person's aura and hear their voice. But he couldn't see their true appearance. But from their interactions and conversations, he could tell that his little master was very young. Definitely not more than 10 years old. A monster that successfully forged an immortal body at less than 10 years old. Yes, just now, the Fuxi secret realm was devoured, the heaven and earth phenomenon, the tens of thousands of lightning strikes, all of this terrifying energy was finally absorbed by his little master Jun Morchen. Finally, he forged an immortal body. Do you know what this means? From then on, Xiao Bao left the cultivation system of the cultivation continent. He no longer had to go through body forging, fasting, golden core, nascent soul, leaving body and tribulation. From the start, he was like a person born in the cultivation continent, possessing the rank of pseudo-immortal. However, the gap between the first stage and the 9th stage of a false immortal was huge. First and second stage false immortals were at most equivalent to the cultivation level between Enidia and golden core. The third and fourth stage false immortals were between golden core and nascent soul. Fifth and sixth rank false immortals were equivalent to leaving body stage cultivators. The strength of a rank 7 and rank 8 hollow immortal was equivalent to a tribulation passing cultivator. Level 9 false immortal was a heavenly tribulation for the people of the cultivation continent. Throughout history, there have been countless experts who have reached the tribulation stage. However, there were very few who could break through the tribulation stage and forge their immortal bodies to reach the 9th stage false immortal stage. However, his little master was different. Even though the little master was only a 3rd stage false immortal, his strength was only equivalent to an early stage golden core. But that was a world of difference from an ordinary golden core. Because from now onward, he wouldn't encounter any bottlenecks before attaining the 9th level of the void immortal realm. There was no need for him to undergo any tribulation. This also meant that the little master's cultivation speed would be far faster than ordinary people. The height that ordinary shoujo needed decades to reach, he might be able to reach in a few years, or even a dozen months. After a long time, he lowered his head and whispered in a voice that no one could hear, 5 years ago. No, it can't be that coincidental, it can't be. Danyang Mountain Range, East. Beautiful sister, little brother is fine now. Stop playing. Stop playing. Woo woo woo. Jun Muyan, don't use the Shen musician skills anymore, or you'll die. Chochio and Chihuang's anxious voices rang in his ears. However, Mu Yang couldn't hear anything. Her face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and her hands were dripping with blood. The wounds caused by the zither strings were so deep that bones could be seen, but she refused to stop for even a moment. His peach blossom eyes were bottomless, reflecting the world, mountains, and rivers, but also as if there was nothing there. Chapter 15-19. Xiao Bao, I'm sorry, it's Nyang Qin's fault that I can't stay by your side. Nyang Qin is too self-righteous, thinking that you'll be fine. Even if you're alone, you won't get hurt, won't feel pain. Nyang Qin is wrong. How can Nyang Qin leave you alone? I'm sorry, please come back to Nyang Qin, okay? As long as you can come back, Nyang Qin is willing to pay any price. Chochio keeps flapping its wings and circling around Muyan, trying to call back her reason. However, Muyan has built a barrier around her, making it impossible to break through. That kind of barrier is useless against Qi Huang, but he's the tool spirit of the Tianmo Qin. Muyan is the master of the Tianmo Qin. When Muyan really refuses to get close to him, he doesn't have any way. Qi Huang's eyes are red, and his hands that hang by his side are trembling slightly. His voice becomes more and more hoarse. Jun Muyan, wake up, your son is fine. Did you hear me? Xiao Bao is fine. Jun Muyan, how can you be like this? Didn't you say that you would return my freedom? Didn't you say that you want to stand at the top of the world? Just like this, how can you be the master of the Tianmo Qin? How can Benzun approve of you? Just then, several figures on a flying boat hurriedly land. Little junior sister, it's little junior sister, we finally found her. 6th sister. Seeing Jun Muyan's appearance, the 6 people's faces change in fright. As soon as Chocho sees them, it immediately cries and rushes over. Boo-hoo-hoo, wake up pretty sister, little brother is fine. Pretty sister, don't play the zither anymore, there's so much blood, boo-hoo-hoo. Chocho is scared. The people of the Xiao Yarrow sect have seen Chocho, and they know its special identity. At this time, Chocho's words are disorderly, and they don't quite understand it. But soon, they know that Muyan is like this because she wants to save someone. However, she wants to save someone to the point that she's almost possessed. So now, even if that person is out of danger, she still plays the zither regardless of her own safety. Yoon Ruohan quickly rushes over, wanting to press the strings of the Tianmo Qin. However, before she can get close, she is bounced away by a strong force. No, little junior sister has released her domain. She's too strong, we can't break through it. Next, Lung Yumor and the other four also try to break through Muyan's domain, but they can't. What should we do? If this goes on, junior sister will die of exhaustion. Right now, her life is not in danger. I feel that little junior sister's domain is still very strong, but at most in half a day, if little junior sister continues to consume her domain and spiritual power like this, her soul will really be damaged. I'll go to the academy to look for a teacher. No matter what, I can't let anything happen to junior sister. No. No way. Chu Moli said coldly, the way little junior sister is playing the zither now, you absolutely cannot let anyone see it. Having truly experienced the power of a Shun musician's skills, Chu Moli, who receives the Tianmo Qin's treatment every month, knows better than anyone else how frightening the power of his junior sister's zither music is. That was not an ordinary musician, nor was it an ordinary zither player. If others were to find out about this, it would probably bring about a fatal disaster for junior sister. This won't do, that won't do. Don't tell me you want us to watch junior sister die. If junior master and teacher Mo were here. Chapter 1520. An incomparably handsome man, as elegant as jade, appears in front of them. Young martial uncle. They all cry out in alarm, pleasantly surprised. Young martial uncle, why are you here? Young martial uncle, quickly save little junior sister. Luo Yunxiao doesn't hesitate and quickly walks towards Muyan. The domain barrier blocks him, but Luo Yunxiao just gently waves his hand, and the star domain drifts away like smoke. A pair of slender, jade-like hands with distinct joints gently presses on the Tianmo Qin. The sound of the zither stops, and the surrounding voices finally enter Muyan's ears. Jun Muyan, you idiot. Beautiful sister, don't talk anymore, little brother is fine, boo-hoo, little brother is fine now. Little junior sister, how are you? Can you hear us? Muyan slowly raises her head and meets a pair of eyes that are as light as water. Then, a low and indifferent voice with a hint of gentleness reaches her ears. Muyan, you've done very well, there's no need to continue. Muyan opens her cracked lips and hoarsely says, young martial uncle? Luo Yunxiao gently nods. Xiaobao, is it all right? Luo Yunxiao doesn't know who Xiaobao is, but he answers without hesitation, yes, Xiaobao is fine. Muyan's line of sight turns slightly to look at the little phoenix. Qiuqiu bursts into tears and pounces into Muyan's arms. Feeling the little phoenix's feather that is so real that people can't tell that it's a soul, Muyan's thoughts slowly condense into a fact, Xiaobao is fine. Xiaobao is really out of danger. He's intact, and even stronger than before. Muyan hoarsely says, Qiuqiu, is Xiaobao all right? Qiuqiu frantically nods, beautiful sister. Qiuqiu dares to swear that little brother is fine now. You see, Qiuqiu's feathers are so beautiful, and the fireball he spits out is also more powerful than before. It's just that Qiuqiu is so worried about beautiful sister, so much blood, boo-hoo. Muyan slowly exhales, the corners of her mouth hooking up into a smile, but she can't help but shed tears. She whispers, Qiuqiu, don't cry, I'm fine. Saying that, she takes out an elixir and sprinkles it on her wound. Look, the bleeding has stopped, it will be fine tomorrow. Xiaobao, are you really all right? Qiuqiu nodded again. Little big brother came out of that hole and is now walking in the forest. However, it's still too far, so Qiuqiu can't sense where he is. But I can feel that little big brother is approaching us. Mu Yang suddenly gets up, I'll go find him now and meet up with him. What are you looking for? Lung Yumor said angrily, look at how weak you are now. You still want to enter the depths of the Pilyong mountain range? Hurry up and go back to Res. Muyan anxiously says, fourth sister, Luo Yunxiao suddenly interrupted her. You ascended the ascension rankings and participated in flourishing heavenly light for the sake of little Bao? Muyan nods. Then you can't leave. Yi Liangchen's name has already spread across the entire cultivation continent. Everyone knows that Yi Liangchen has only appeared in the Starry Land. If he wants to find you, he will definitely come to the Starry School. Chapter 1521. Luo Yunxiao rarely spoke so much. But every sentence speaks to the bottom of Muyan's heart. She clenched her fists, Luo Yunxiao's words echoing in her mind. Should she charge into the Danyang mountain range and find her Xiaobao, or wait here? What if she entered the Danyang mountain range and missed Xiaobao? If she did not enter, what if Xiaobao met with danger again? Chu Moli suddenly said, "Junior, the tri-school tournament will be held at Starry School soon. According to what I know, every year, the Tri-Academy tournament is also a gathering of thousands of students. The School of the Emperor Star will be brightly lit throughout the night. Tai Square will also have fireworks at the beginning of the Jasper Forest gathering. Those fireworks can be seen even from 1,000 miles away." Luo Yu's eyes brightened. "Yes, 6th senior, aren't we going to the Jadewood gathering? If that person wants to find you, he will definitely come to Starry School. Even if he does not know where Starry School is, he will know the direction once he sees the lights and fireworks in the School of the Emperor Star. Then, you will definitely see him." Yun Ruohan said worriedly, "Little junior sister, the most important thing now is for you to take care of your body. Otherwise, if you are eliminated early in the Tri-Academy tournament, wouldn't it be very difficult for the person you want to find you among thousands of people? Also, seeing how weak you are, he will definitely be worried." Muyan closes her eyes, and the churning emotions in her heart slowly calm down. When she opened her eyes again, she was the usual calm and rational Muyan again. But looking at the people surrounding her and looking at her with concern, Muyan could not help but feel a lump in her throat. "Sorry, I was too willful today." Leng Yumor laughed. "Willful is good. Being willful is good. Junior, how old are you? If you are not willful occasionally, I will think that you are of the same seniority as junior uncle." Luo Yunxiao glanced over calmly. Leng Yumor shivered and did not dare to say another word. Yun Ruohan touched Muyan's head and said gently, "Junior, don't worry. No matter what you want to do, we will be by your side. Don't always fight alone. You always help us. Don't you want us to help you occasionally?" "Yes, 6th senior sister, we are from the same sect, aren't we family? But junior sister, you're really too strong. We can't help you even if we wanted to. If it wasn't for junior martial uncle suddenly rushing over today, we would really be helpless." Seeing Mu Yang look over, Luo Yunxiao said indifferently, "From tomorrow onwards, stay in the sword formation for 8 hours every day. Think clearly about what you did wrong today." Mu Yang gently smiled and nodded, but she could not help but shed tears. That was great. At a time like this, she still had a group of family members who would accompany her, protect her, and accept her unconditionally. She opened her mouth to speak, but her vision suddenly blurred, and her body softly fell to the ground. Junior sister, 6th senior sister. Everyone was about to reach out to help her up, but Luo Yunxiao was faster than them. "Little martial uncle, is 6th senior sister all right?" Luo Yunxiao loosens the fingers on Mu Yang's wrist and shakes her head. "It's just that my mind has been consumed too much and I've been using the domain for too long. I only need to rest for 2 days." Hearing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 1522. Luo Yunxiao's hand that was holding Mu Yang's body clenched into a fist, then slowly loosened it. In her dark eyes, there was infinite light that flickered, settled, released, and endured. "Bring Mu Yang back, I have something to do." After that, Luo Yunxiao handed Mu Yang to Leng Yumor and disappeared without waiting for anyone to ask. "Junior Master. That's strange, how did Junior Master find this place? Did he have a premonition that something happened to Junior Sister? That's impossible. Junior Sister's life was not in danger just now. Even if he had a premonition, he couldn't have come here so quickly, right? What's more, This is Danyang Mountain Range, it's not easy to find someone here. We chased Junior Sister here, and only found her after such a long time. How did Junior Master find this place so accurately? The few of them discussed for a while, but to no avail. They could only carry Mu Yang on their back and sit on the flying boat. In the space, Qi Huang stood in front of the tower, looking up, his mouth slowly curved into a sly smile. How did he find her? Of course. I let him find her. But it was only for a moment, the smile immediately disappeared. Qi Huang suddenly pressed his chest, his face revealing a look of horror. Danyang Mountain Range North. Boss, where are we going? The few little guys wiped their noses, nibbled on fruits, and looked at Xiao Bao with their big watery eyes. Xiao Bao touched the fat rabbit that was already asleep in his arms, and said with a trace of hope and longing, I want to find Mother. Boss, where's your mother? We'll help you find her. Yes, we're very familiar with Azure Blue World. If we can't find her, we'll ask our parents to help us. But, Xiao Bao lowered his long eyelashes, his delicate and beautiful face was full of sadness. I don't know where Mother is. The sad look on the little angel's face was enough to melt even a stone-hearted man's heart. Not to mention that the little guys could not bear to see their boss like this. Even Bai Xie could not help but say, Little Master, what's your mother's name? Let's ask them one by one once we get out of Danyang Mountain Range, we'll definitely find her. That's right, boss. We'll get the family servants to help us search. With so many people searching together, we'll definitely be able to find it. Xiao Bao's long eyelashes fluttered. He raised his head to look at them and said, My mother's name is Yi Liang Chen. He originally wanted to say Mu Yang's real name. However, he recalled the name of Yap Liang Chen that he heard in the secret realm. Although Xiao Bao wasn't sure if it was an illusion or not, he still blurted out the name. However, he did not expect that as soon as he said this name, the 5 little fellas opposite him opened their eyes wide. The sound of chattering disappeared. The 5 little radishes looked as if they had seen a ghost. Yi Liang Chen? Boss, are you talking about the Lord of Azure Sky, Yi Liang Chen? Feng Shu raised both of his hands and jumped. I know. I heard my sister talking about Godji every day at home. He is Yi Liang Chen. She even said that she wants to marry Godji. Hey, isn't Godji a man? How could he be boss's mother? Duan Zi added excitedly, and the champion of the Golden Heavenly Light Finals, my uncle loves to buy Godji's talismans. He goes to Tianguang ruins to queue up every day. Chapter 1523. The few little fellows start to laugh at Duan Zi. After laughing at him, they start to cry out in excitement. So Great Godji is Big Brother's mother. Wahahaha, I knew Big Brother's mother is the most powerful in the world. Great Godji, if you find your mother, can you ask her to give me a few talismans? I want to bring it to Uncle and make him jealous. Lu Hongyuan finally finds his voice. Big Brother, are you sure your mother is called Yi Liang Chen? Is it that Lord of Clear Sky, Yi Liang Chen? There are definitely people with the same name in the world. But Xiao Bao can be sure that his mother is definitely the Yi Liang Chen that these little fellows are talking about. Because that day in the Fuxi secret realm, he heard with his own ears the phrase 3 rankings unite, Lord of Clear Sky is born. That is definitely his mother. It is because of him that his mother let the name Yi Liang Chen resound throughout the world. His mother is telling him, Mother still can't find him, so she is standing in the most conspicuous position, waiting for Xiao Bao to find her. Xiao Bao presses his hand on his heart. When he was struggling with the Scarlet Eye Devil Crystal, he felt that he was really going to die. At that time, his whole body was in pain, and he was also very lonely and sad. But suddenly, 2 forces rushed in and brought him out of the hopeless situation. That is his mother's Shen musician power. And his father, Xiao Bao's cold little face shows a happy smile. So, not only is his mother looking for him, even his father didn't forget him, didn't give up on him. He wants so much, wants to quickly return to his father and mother's side. Meeting Lu Hongyuan's questioning gaze, Xiao Bao nods without hesitation. Where is Mother? Or rather, where can they find Yi Liang Chen? This question makes the few little fellows stumble. Because in the world, only a few people know the true identity of Great God Yi. Going to Tianguang ruins is the easiest way to find Great God Yi. But they don't have the jade key in their hands. Their belongings have all been taken away by those bad guys. The few little fellows scratch their ears and cheeks, thinking so hard that their brains are about to break. This was the first mission boss had given them. If they couldn't complete it, what qualifications did they have to be loyal subordinates? Suddenly, Duanzi's eyes lit up and he jumped up in excitement. I remember now, the Tri-Academy tournament. I heard from my cousin that it's going to be held in the Starry School soon. As soon as he said that, the others immediately became excited. They chattered non-stop. Yes, God Yi must be a student of the Tri-Academy. He'll definitely participate in the Tri-Academy tournament. Maybe he'll even kill everyone. As long as we go watch the Tri-Academy tournament, we'll definitely be able to find your mother. Where will the Tri-Academy tournament be held this year? Yang Yang knows, it's the Starry School. Yang Yang's brother was also in Starry School. Brother, let's go to the Starry School. Xiaobao's heart thumped wildly as he listened to the little fellow's chatter. It's as if he can already see the scene of him reuniting with his mother. After so long, he finally received accurate news about his mother and knew where to find her. That was great. He could finally return to his mother's side. So, you guys really didn't die. Suddenly, a rough voice came from behind them. Chapter 1524. The little ones were shocked when they heard the voice. They turned around and saw a muscular man. Their faces changed. Ah, it's the big bad guy that caught us. WA. Boss, save us. The little fellows immediately hid behind Xiao Bao. Pairs of eyes stared anxiously at the muscular man and his underlings. Xiao Bao looked at the group of people in front of him. He squinted his eyes, but his expression didn't change at all. These people's cultivation level was not low, each of them was at least at the peak level of abstinence. The leader of the group was a muscular man, and the two men in black robes beside him were all golden core level. The sturdy man was at the middle stage of the gold core realm. Little brother, I'm telling you, these are all bad guys. Nailan Yang clenched her fists and said angrily, Yang Yang saw them kill people with my own eyes. They even threw them into the cave to feed the monsters. Bai Xie said solemnly, these must be the guards of the Fuxi secret realm. In order to feed the blood abyss vines and the scarlet eye demonic crystal, they have no choice but to kill humans, using the hatred, resentment, and blood of humans to feed the blood abyss vines. This allowed the demonic chi in the Fuxi Grand Array to grow stronger, trying to corrode the evil warding sword's barrier and erase my consciousness. Xiao Bao nodded. He held the evil warding sword tightly. Mother once said that those who kill the innocent are not human, they are scum that are worse than animals, they should all be killed. The muscular man's eyes turned and landed on the evil warding sword in Xiao Bao's hand. His pupils shrunk. You took out the evil warding sword, little one, who are you? Before Xiao Bao could answer, the muscular man's eyes shone with greed. The Fuxi Grand Array was destroyed. I was worried that I would be punished when I returned. But now, with you and the evil warding sword, not only will I not be punished, I will also be rewarded handsomely. Ha ha ha. The muscular man waved his hand and shouted, kill these little ones, leave this kid with the sword alive. Yes. The little carrots' faces paled, they trembled in fear. Boss, what do we do? What do we do? There are so many of them, and they are all so strong. Boo-hoo, I don't want to die. Xiao Bao looked at them coldly and said in a stern voice, none of you are allowed to cry. Whoever cries again is not allowed to call me boss in the future. He didn't want a bunch of noisy crying lackeys. What if Nyangqin dislikes it if I bring it to Nyangqin? And his father would definitely laugh at him. The little fellows immediately covered their mouths and blinked their big watery eyes, not daring to make a single sound. Little Treasure looked at the burly man. The evil warding sword, which was about the same size as the burly man, was easily lifted by him. Bai Xie, do you want revenge? Hihi, of course I do. I've been imprisoned for so many years, and there's no answer to my cries. I'm not the Virgin Mary Sue. If the left side of my face is slapped, I'll extend the right side of my face to be slapped. Bai Xie's voice wasn't loud, nor was it noisy, but it was sinister and filled with a bone-piercing killing intent. These sons of bitches. Shameless bastards. Even in my dreams, I wish I could chop them into pieces, tear them into pieces, knead them, and feed them to the dogs. 15 minutes later. Chapter 1525. His line of sight slowly moved downwards, the ground was littered with corpses, and the huge bloody hole in his chest. Impossible. How is this possible? He was killed by a 5-year-old kid. Who was this little boy? Bang! The huge body of the big man fell heavily, dying with his eyes wide open. Xiao Bao jumped down from the treetop, the huge Bixie sword disappeared from his hand. But the Bixie sword was not kept in the storage ring, but in a small space. After awakening, Xiao Bao found that there was a small space in his sea of consciousness. In the space, there was a large field of snow-red lotus, and 7 springs of different colors. There was very little spring water, but Xiao Bao recognized it at a glance. It was the 7 clear spring. So, after he swallowed the Fuxi secret realm, it did not disappear completely, but turned into a smaller version, hiding in his body. Just like Mother's Tian Mo Qin space. Xiao Bao looked at the field of snow-red lotus and 7 clear spring happily. Bunny likes to eat red flowers. He can eat until he is full every day. This spring water is sweet. If Mother drinks it, I wonder if she will like it. Little Master, you are so awesome. You actually turned the Fuxi secret realm into a portable space. The Bixie sword shook its body, unspeakably excited. Snow-red lotus is the best spirit nourishment. I can rest here. I will be able to condense the sword spirit true body soon. Wahahaha, I will finally see the light of day again. Xiao Bao heard Bixie sword's happy voice, the smile on his face deepened, and his consciousness left the Fuxi secret realm. The little guys have already stepped on the body of the big man to vent their anger, and then rushed over to surround Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao stopped them from flattering, and said sternly, "You are too weak. From today onwards, all of you will follow me to cultivate." Xiao Bao used to be in charge of the ink camp under the Netherfire army. They are all men of iron bones. Even the weakest, Liu Beiyu, isn't a cowardly egg who cries and wails endlessly. Plus, Xiao Bao was only 5 years old, but he never cowered. So, he naturally felt that if these people wanted to be his little brothers, even if they were young, they must be strong. Otherwise, if word got out that these were his underlings, wouldn't he be laughed at by others? Not only did the little radishes not feel dejected, but their eyes lit up with excitement. "Boss, we are willing to train with you. We will never be afraid of hardship or tiredness. Yes, we are not little crybabies. We will not cry in the future. I must follow boss. Yang, don't cry. Yang also needs to cultivate." Xiao Bao nodded in satisfaction when he saw how loyal they were. Then, he turned to look at the dense forest that stretched as far as the eye could see. The Starry School was in the east of the Danyang mountain range, so as long as he headed east, he would be able to see his mother. He didn't know how long the journey would be, and there would definitely be many powerful beasts in the mountains. However, with the fat rabbit around, Xiao Bao wasn't afraid of the fierce beasts at all. But next, it was better not to scare away the beasts. He still needed the beasts to train his little brothers. The little turnips, who were imagining how awe-inspiring they would be under their boss's training and how they would be able to kill their enemies, couldn't help but shudder. Chapter 1526. This group of spoiled young masters and young ladies had no idea how miserable their fate would be in this Danyang mountain range in the next half a month. Purple Cloud Boundary, Evolution Moon Sect. In the basement, the bell shook violently, making a hurried sound like a soul being chased. The fierce beasts around the bell fell to the ground in pain, bleeding from their 7 orifices and dying. When all the fierce beasts died, the bell stopped ringing completely. However, Ling Dang's body was still emitting a dark red glow. The white-bearded old man pressed his hands on the stone platform excitedly, almost unable to control his emotions. It's the son of heaven's luck, the real son of heaven's luck. How can our luck be so good? We actually found the real son of heaven's luck. Li Zupeng was a little surprised when he heard this. Master, is the son of heaven's luck also the medicinal catalyst of Fenghua quicksand? The white-bearded old man shook his head. No, no, no. The so-called heavenly Tao's favored child is just an ancient god. To put it bluntly, the remaining herb men were nothing more than luck snatchers. But the son of heaven's luck is different. If we get the son of heaven's luck and make him work for us, what is Tianyi Men? As for Fenghua quicksand, we only need to cut a piece of flesh from the son of heaven's luck. Ha ha ha. Quick, send out all the people in the inner sect. Be sure to bring back the son of heaven's luck in one piece. Li Zupeng's eyes flashed with greed. Master, why don't disciple bring back the son of heaven's luck? The Jasper Forest meeting of Azure Blue World is in a few days. Master who has some plans to implement while His Highness is going to Azure Blue World. I can show my loyalty to Master Hu and also find the son of heaven's luck at the same time. I won't attract the attention of others. The white-bearded old man's expression changed. He was obviously a little moved. But he still said cautiously, you should know how important it is to find the son of heaven's luck and the medicinal catalyst of Fenghua quicksand. Even the people on Master Hu's side must not be leaked. Li Zupeng immediately patted his chest. Don't worry, Master. I still know this. Just wait for the good news. The white-bearded old man was silent for a moment before he finally nodded. All right, go ahead. If we do this well, our evolution moon sect will have a meteoric rise, and it will no longer be a dream for us to ascend to the cultivation continent. Li Zupeng excitedly exchanged a glance with the white-bearded old man before turning around and leaving. Starry School, School of the Emperor Star. Di Yudao had just come out of seclusion. When he heard the report from his subordinate, he could not believe his ears. What did you say? The Fuxi Grand Array was destroyed. All the people guarding the Bixia sword are dead. The black-robed man knelt on the ground, shivering. The demonic bell that is connected to the core of the Fuxi Grand Array has shattered, and the soul lamps of those guards have also suddenly extinguished. I'm afraid that they're in grave danger. Are you kidding me? That was the Fuxi Grand Array, guarded by so many blood abyss vines, demonic beasts and demonic plants. How could it be destroyed so easily? What the hell happened? Trembling with fear, the black-clothed man hurriedly reported the abnormality of the Danyang mountain range a day ago. Di Yudao's face turned pale. He did not understand who destroyed the Fuxi Grand Array, killed the guards of the secret realm, and snatched the Bixia sword. Could it be that a tribulation cultivator had accidentally discovered the Fuxi secret realm, coveted the Bixia sword, and snatched it away? Chapter 1527. The Fuxi secret realm was an extremely secretive existence. Even a cultivator at the peak of the crossing calamity stage would not be able to detect it. How could it be so easily discovered? Di Yudao's mind was spinning, but it eventually turned into infinite fear. If his master knew that he had failed to guard the evil warding sword, causing the Fuxi secret realm to be destroyed and the evil warding sword stolen, he would definitely wish he was dead. Have you sent anyone to investigate? The man in black nodded. I have already sent people to investigate the vicinity of the Fuxi secret realm. However, the news that came back said that the place had already become a ruin. There was no trace of the person. I think that person must have already left on the evil warding sword. In the depths of the Danyang mountain range, flying boats were unable to fly because there were countless demonic plants and fierce beasts that could fly. However, for those almighty cultivators who had reached the pinnacle of cultivation, flying on a sword in the Danyang mountain range was a piece of cake. The man in black's subordinates did not even think that the person who destroyed the Fuxi secret realm and killed 3 golden core cultivators would be a child who could not even fly. Therefore, they did not even investigate the traces left in the forest. They only thought that the person who had stolen the sword had already left. Yudao could not bear it anymore. He stepped forward and kicked the man in black's chest. Trash, all of you are trash. Send out the order to send people to search the vicinity of the Danyang mountain range. Do not let go of any traces. Yes, yes, Dean. The black-clothed man scrambled away. Yudao was still pacing anxiously in the room. He kept muttering, "No, I can't be killed by my master like this. I must redeem myself, that's right, that pill. As long as I successfully refine that pill, maybe my master will let me redeem myself." However, that pill had been secretly refined for so many years. So many lives had been sacrificed, but it had never been successful. It was not something that could be refined just like that. Yudao felt that he was about to go crazy from fear. Suddenly, he thought of something and his eyes lit up. The Tri-Academy tournament. That's right, the Tri-Academy tournament was his turning point. He heard that several clans and sects from the Ziyun realm would come to watch the Tri-Academy tournament. In particular, he even heard that even the imperial family would come. That's right. As long as he could curry favor with the royal family and gain their protection, perhaps even his master would not dare to touch him. Yudao sat down and grabbed the armrests on both sides of the chair tightly, as if he was holding on to his last life-saving straw. When Mu Yang wakes up, it's already the morning of the third day. When she played the zither the day before yesterday, the spiritual power in her body was almost dried up. Her meridians and dantian were empty, and she felt a burning pain. But now that he had woken up, he felt that the spiritual energy in his body was incomparably abundant and pure. Even his domain seemed to be much stronger than before. Muyan plucks the Tianmo Qin, and then delightedly discovers that the body of the Tianmo Qin seems to be a lot brighter than before. Moreover, the day before yesterday, because she was worried about Xiao Bao, she directly activated her Shun Musician Level 5 skill. The fifth level of the Shun Musician skills, in addition to the upgrade of the major skills. He also activated the second form of Holy Sound Rotation, from Holy Benevolence. If one were to say that the benevolence of the saints could only overtransfer the vitality of oneself and all living things in the world to others at close range. Chapter 1528. After Mu Yang had a premonition that something had happened to Xiao Bao, she immediately rushed into the Danyang mountain range. She was betting that Xiao Bao was in the Pilyang mountain range. Through the rotation of holy sound and the resonance of all plants, he used all the spiritual plants in the Redyang mountain range as a medium to transfer the vitality in his body to Xiao Bao. Finally, at the critical moment, he pulled Xiao Bao back from the gates of hell. However, rotation of holy sound was the same as saint's benevolence, in that it consumed one's own lifespan and soul to steal someone from the hands of the king of hell. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he would definitely not use it. As for the holy sound rotation, because of the different mediums, it consumed more lifespan and soul power. Many of these consumptions would even result in irreversible losses. Muyan was able to recover so quickly this time because she was lucky. She was burning with anxiety, and the desire to save Xiao Bao became stronger and stronger in her mind. In the end, she activated the holy sound rotation on her own. However, at that time, she had yet to completely advance to the fifth level of Shun Musician. If he continued to use the sacred sound rotation like this, he would definitely die. It was 7 brilliance. When she was exhausted, he didn't hesitate to consume his own artifact spirit's primordial spirit to help her break through to the 5th rank. After breaking through to the 5th level of Shun Musician, Mu Yang's Shun Musician skill bar has a new, medical, skill, Calm the Soul. Calm the Soul, medical, skill of the Shun Musician. It can only be used on the soul and primordial spirit. It can also be used on the body. It is used to condense the soul and repair the defects of the primordial spirit during cultivation and battle. The skill that had just been activated would release a large amount of energy. Therefore, it made up for her consumption in the rotation of holy sound. On the contrary, it allowed her to rise from the ashes, and her cultivation and strength increased by a lot. It was a blessing in disguise. Most importantly, with the calm soul skill, she was more confident that she could cure Suzy's heart disease. Suzy's half-soul was too unstable, and Mu Yang was afraid that Suzy wouldn't be able to hold on during the treatment process, so she didn't dare to do it. In this way, 7 brilliants might really be able to leave this space and see the sun. Thinking like this, Mu Yan suddenly realizes that when she woke up today, Qi Huang has been abnormally quiet. The red-clothed youngster quietly sits next to the Tianmo Qin, not scolding it fiercely. He didn't play the spirit-peering chess or wander around the Tianguang ruins. Just like that, he looked into the distance silently, his eyes dark and bottomless. His entire body seemed to be engulfed by something. Mu Yang's heart thumps, and she quickly steps forward. Suddenly, he raised his hand and heavily knocked on 7 Brilliance's forehead. Qi Xiaohuang, why are you pretending to be so profound? Do you think you're more handsome than junior martial uncle just because you show your melancholy? Qi Huang covered his forehead with his hand, still in a daze. By the time he realizes what Mu Yang is saying, the red-clothed youth immediately explodes. Jun Muyan, what did you just say? I, the Supreme Overlord, am more handsome than that pretty boy. Do you even have eyes? You bastard, fickle woman, you really have taken a fancy to that gigolo. Mu Yang is all smiles as she watches the youngster stamping his feet in front of her. That's right. This was 7 Brilliants. That deep and gloomy look just now made her feel uncomfortable all over. All right. Our 7 Brilliants is the most handsome, most beautiful, and most handsome. No one can compare to you. Chapter 1529. Qi Huang has a tsunder look on his face, but he can't help but want Mu Yang to smoothen his hair a few more times. She raises her chin awkwardly for a long time before she gently asks, Jun Muyan, will you always be this good to me? Mu Yang nods without hesitation. No matter what I become, you won't dislike me. Mu Yan crosses her arms over her chest, slightly narrowing her eyes as she looks at him. Say it, what did you do to let me down again? Did you run outside and squander your crystals, or lose some of my treasures? Or did you cause trouble in the Tianguang ruins? Jun, Mu, Yang. Qi Huang angrily shouts, jumping 3 feet high, wanting to beat Mu Yang up. I am a dignified ancient artifact spirit. No, this sun is an ancient artifact spirit. You bastard, what do you take this exalted one for? Mu Yang easily dodged the devilish brat and said with a smile, of course you're Qi Xiaohuang. Qi Huang paused and looked at her in a daze. Mu Yan's smile becomes more and more gentle. In my eyes, no matter when or where, you will always be Qi Xiaohuang. This will never change. Qi Huang stared at him blankly, then a brilliant smile blossomed on his face as he nodded heavily. For the people of the Azure Blue Domain, the Jasper Forest Gathering did not only represent the competition between the Stars Academy, the Phoenix Heaven Academy, and the Spirit Martial Academy, but it also represented the most important gathering of the Azure Blue Domain that occurred once a year. This grand event was held by the 3 academies in rotation every year. The 3 Academy competition was undoubtedly the most important event of the Jasper Forest Gathering, but it was not the only event. After all, those who could participate in the Tri-Academy tournament were the elites among the elites of the academies. But the Jasper Forest Gathering was a grand ceremony that everyone could participate in. It was a place where people toasted each other, a place that was bustling and lively. Every year at the Jasper Forest Festival, all the students except the 3 academies would participate. There would also be various aristocratic families and sects who would come to observe the talents of the young students in the academy and select the talents they wanted. There were also people who came to inspect the advantages and disadvantages of the academy, wondering if they should send their children here. In short, the Jasper Forest Gathering every year was extremely important to every cultivator of Azure Blue Domain. The Tri-Academy tournament was scheduled for April 17th. But as early as April 15th, Mu Yang and the other students who had registered for the Tri-Academy tournament were invited to the school of the Emperor Star in advance. Every team participating in the competition had their own courtyard in the school of the Emperor Star. The layout and furnishings of each room in the courtyard were more than 100 times better than when the new students had entered the academy. As for Mu Yang and the rest, they finally witnessed the financial resources of the Starry School. They had come to the school of the Emperor Star many times. However, in just half a month, the entire school of the Emperor Star had changed completely. The palaces that originally looked like they could only accommodate a few thousand people now seemed boundless. Mu Yang and the others watch helplessly as group after group of people come in. All the students of the Spiritual Force Academy and the Fengtian Academy were stuffed into the school of the Emperor Star. There were at least tens of thousands of people staying there, but the school of the Emperor Star was still empty. No matter where he went, he would never feel crowded. Especially Long Music Palace that provided food, leisure, and communication for all Shouja. From the outside, it was only a few hundred square meters in size. Chapter 1530. As for the Taiyi Square where the Tri-Academy competition was going to be held, it had completely changed. It was unknown when a grandstand had risen from the ground. Sitting in the grandstand, one could clearly see the battle scene in the center of the Greater One Square. Only now did Mu Yang and the others know that Taiyi Plaza wasn't the only treasure. The entire school of the Emperor Star was built with Sumeru mustard seed fragments. Thus, even though the other buildings in the school of the Emperor Star could not be expanded as easily as Taiyi Square, there were still countless miraculous things about them. After the people from the Alcade School entered the school of the Emperor Star, they were like country bumpkins entering a big town. Everything they saw was extremely rare. 6th Senior Sister, come and see, come and see. Luo Yu said excitedly. There's a sieve on this table, it's powered by spiritual power. Lung Yumor also said excitedly, there's even a place to bet here. They're actually betting on the results of this Tri-Academy tournament. Heh. Do you think we should also bet a little? Luo Yu and the others' shouts attracted the attention of the other people in Changle Palace. Those who were closer to them curled their lips and said in disdain, I wonder where these country bumpkins came from. Have they never participated in the Jasper Forest gathering before? Why are you making a fuss about everything? The Jasper Forest gathering is really becoming more and more depraved. To think that any Tom, Dick, or Harry would be allowed to spectate. The Jasper Forest gathering that our Phoenix Sky Academy organized last time wasn't so unpresentable. TSK, the Starry School can't do it anymore. What are you talking about? The people at the other table wearing the Starry School uniform immediately slammed the table and stood up. I dare you to say that again. I'll tell you. The student from the Fengtian Academy who had spoken earlier also stood up and said without backing down, in the Jasper Forest gathering held in the past few years, when did your Starry School not lose to our Fengtian Academy? I think in another 2 years, you guys won't even be able to beat the Spiritual Martial Arts School, right? Ha, that's right. In last year's Tri-Academy tournament, although your Tianshu team won 2nd place, the 4th, 5th and 6th places were all from our Spiritual Martial Arts Academy. TSK, some academies are really miserable. This year, I'm going to lose face in front of my own home. His words immediately angered more than half of the Starry School students in Changle Palace. Your Phoenix Sky Academy is powerful, but no matter how powerful you are, do you have an Azure Cloud Master? Why don't you crawl back now, raise your dog heads, and see who is ranked first on the Nirvana rankings? Ha, right, the number 1 on your Nirvana rankings is still our great God Yi. You still have the cheek to say that Feng Tian is stronger than our Starry School. How shameless of you. If you have the ability, then ask the members of the Phoenix Sky Academy to seize the first position on the Ascension ranking. The people from the Phoenix Sky Academy were at a loss for words, and their faces turned pale. Yes, for the past few months, Yi Liangchen's name had become the nightmare of both the Phoenix Sky Academy and the Spirit Martial Arts Academy. In just a short month, it wasn't even enough for the 2 Linglong, Nirvana, and Ling Xiao lists. Later on, they even refreshed the announcements in the Tianguang ruins crazily, so that the name Yi Liang Chen was deeply imprinted in their minds and could not be removed. Currently, the number of Feng Tian Academy students ascending the Nirvana rankings was decreasing. After the warning of expulsion from the Bright Jasper Forest Society, the hot-blooded students finally calmed down and returned to their seats. Not long later, the voices of the crowd once again entered Mu Yang's ears. You can place your bets now. Who do you think will be the champion of this year's Tri-Academy tournament? If you ask me, it's definitely the King of Feng Tian. That's the team led by Lu Jinhang, no one can fight against them. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.